Ladies and gentlemen, we take you back in time some 38 years ago. In a bitter December of the year 1971, war broke out between India and Pakistan once again. The Pakistan Army perpetrated widespread violation of human rights in East Pakistan, with support from some local, political, and religious militia. It is said that nearly 3 million people died of selective genocide and mass atrocities. Millions of others were left homeless, and almost 10 million crossed the border to seek refuge in India. The then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, extended full humanitarian support to them by opening refugee camps along the border. India was left holding the enormous burden of this mass influx. Repeated appeals to the international community to end the Holocaust fell on deaf ears. So the Indian government decided to help the Mukti Bahini to liberate East Pakistan, which had already been named Bangladesh by its people.
Namo 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 Bangladesh Mamo.
Pakistan felt it could dissuade India by being provocative. The Pakistan Air Force in East Pakistan took to attacking suspected Mukti Bahini camps located inside Indian territory in West Bengal. And on the western border, Pakistan combat aircraft suddenly struck 9 Indian airfields. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the breaking point.
The moment of great peril to our country and our people. Today, the war in Bangladesh has become a war on India.
By midnight that same day, India retaliated to the unprovoked aggression in full scale. India and Pakistan were locked in a two-front war. While the Army and Air Force carried out attacks along the borders, it was the Navy that was given the strategic task of denying both East and West Pakistan access to war supplies. East and West Pakistan were two separate geographical entities, more than 1,600 miles apart, and the only way Pakistani forces could be sustained was through the sea. The aim was a complete naval blockade of both parts of Pakistan. While Vikrant supported military operations on the East Coast, it was the Western Seafront that was witness to one of the most audacious and daring attacks in the history of naval warfare. It was here that a bold plan was conceptualized and implemented, one which required ingenuity, perfect timing, and absolute emphasis on the element of surprise. The plan, ladies and gentlemen, was to set ablaze Karachi Harbor. This historic port of Karachi harbored Pakistan's naval headquarters, the entire naval fleet, and almost the entire commerce of the country. And the ships chosen for the mission were the sleek and stealthy OSA M-class missile boats. OSA in Russian means wasp, and these mere 37-meter-long fast attack boats could achieve very high speeds of up to 40 knots. These boats carried the newly acquired P-15 missiles, and among other short-range weapons were the twin AK-230 anti-missile high-rate of fire guns. The reason for this unorthodox, bold decision was that these tiny missile boats would provide for difficult, fast-moving targets in the absence of friendly air cover. This offensive was named Operation Trident. The ships chosen for this offensive were INS Nipat, INS Veer, INS Nirghat, INS Vinash, INS Nashak, INS Vidyut, INS Vijeta, and INS Nirbhik. Because of the inherent limited endurance of these boats, a tactical decision was taken to tow these vessels up to a certain point south of Karachi Harbour, from where they would proceed at full speed to carry out the attack and disperse. Also, the Indian crew that was just back from the USSR after commissioning these boats was fluent in speaking Russian. This factor was extensively used, and all communications between the attacking vessels was in Russian, so that even if intercepted, the tactics would not be given away. These tactics and methods introduced catalyzed the success of the operations. By the afternoon of the 4th of December 1971, the strike group was on its way to Karachi. The K-25, Commodore B.B. Yadav, the squadron commander, was embarked on Nipat for this operation.
On third night we were sailing and I was embarked on Nipat as K-25. We proceeded from there towards Karachi, keeping one aim in mind, that we will attack Karachi come what may.
In the darkness of the night, the ship silently crept up, hugging the Saurashtra coast, before breaking out seaward. As they neared Karachi, they detected some Pakistani ships patrolling the area. The boat on the left, INS Nirghat, was detailed to engage the contact, which was later confirmed to be the Pakistani destroyer, PNS Khyber. The first missile hit Khyber on the starboard side and exploded below the aft galley in the electrician's mess deck at about 20 to 45 hours, Pakistan time. The ship immediately lost propulsion, plunged into darkness, and was engulfed in thick black smoke. Khyber sent out an emergency transmission which read, "Enemy aircraft attacked in position 020, Foxtrot Foxtrot 20. Number 1 boiler hit. Ship stopped." This meant that the Pakistan Navy did not even know what hit them. 3 minutes later, a second missile was fired with acute precision. It exploded into the number 2 boiler room on the starboard side and sealed the fate of the Khyber forever. By this time, the port of Karachi was about 32 miles away, clearly painting on the radar. INS Veer reported a contact fine on her starboard bow, which was later learned to be a Pakistan minesweeper, the PNS Muhafiz. Veer fired 2 missiles at the contact at about 2320 hours. The missiles hit the Muhafiz on the port side above the bridge and instantaneously disintegrated the vessel, throwing much of its crew into the water. Muhafiz did not even have enough time to transmit a distress message. The ship's debris continued to burn for 70 minutes while the survivors floated around. Nipat, showing utmost bravery, continued towards Karachi, and from a distance of 14 miles from the harbor, fired a missile in the direction of the entrance. Never before was a missile purely designed for anti-ship roll used for land attack. 1 minute before midnight, the missile scored a direct hit on one of the giant Kiamari oil tanks, spreading lethal flames in all directions. This spread to other tanks, and a huge explosion shot up over the horizon. the Navy had avenged the provocation and celebrated Diwali in its own unique way. Radio silence was broken to transmit the code, Angar. This meant the successful completion of Operation Trident. Having achieved much more than what the ship set out to do, it was now time to get back safely. The passage homeward was ridden with its own set of tribulations. The ships were now vulnerable to Pakistani air attacks. Veer developed machinery problems and its speed was reduced. The same happened with Nipat when its fuel hose pipes gave away. And in the meanwhile, Pakistan radio put out a message that an Indian vessel had been sunk. INS Nipat, the only boat not accounted for at the time, was feared sunk amidst tense and confusing moments. But Nipat returned in the night on the 7th of December to a hero's welcome, all thanks to the ingenuity of its engineers, who managed to take out oil from the pumps and used it to run the engines. The success of Operation Trident prompted the Navy to push further in. A second offensive and the final kill, named Operation Python, was launched, in which Vinash took on what was left of the shipping and harbor assets at Karachi. Operations Trident and Python were a great success. Flames from Karachi could be seen from 60 miles away. Shipping traffic to and from Karachi, Pakistan's only major port at the time, ceased. The Pakistan Navy's main ships were either destroyed or forced to remain in harbor. With $3 billion worth of damage, most of the oil reserves and ammunition having been lost, warehouses and workshops destroyed, and the Pakistani Air Force base hit as well, Karachi was perhaps the biggest victim of the 1971 war. The Indian Navy accomplished the task assigned to it within the first few days of the war. Blockade was imposed, and control of the seas around both wings of Pakistan was with the Indian Navy. The swift operations by these small vessels had a dramatic effect on the war. Pakistan was starved of its war efforts, which catalyzed a meek surrender in the east, while Pakistan begged for a ceasefire in the west. Victory finally came when General A.A.K. Niazi capitulated on the Eastern Front, and the Indian armed forces triumphed. In the moment of crisis, the Indian Navy had distinguished itself with honor. The President of India decorated several officers and sailors of the 25th Missile Vessel Squadron in recognition of their gallantry and display of selfless dedication to the nation. After these successful operations, the Missile Vessel Squadron was conferred the title Killers. The stunning success of Operation Trident, accomplished by the Killers, brought home an unparalleled glory for the country, and the 4th of December, the day Karachi burnt, came to be known as the Navy Day. In the late 80s, it was sought to replace these aging OSA-class boats with some new generation missile corvettes that would carry into the next generation the glory and fame that had been established by the Killer Squadron. The first of the batch of 5 new ships acquired from the USSR, INS Veer, was commissioned on the 26th of March, 1987. 8 more were constructed in Indian shipyards under license. These ships, with twice the displacement, are armed with 4 surface-to-surface missiles, a better electronic mission suite, and a 76 mm gun with a higher and more accurate rate of fire. Twin AK-630 mounts are fitted as a close-in weapon system, primarily to engage an incoming missile. Over the years, the Killer Squadron has maintained focus towards synergy, working in tandem towards transformation into a fighting force networked for the realm of the future. Continuous emphasis is laid on keeping the ships at sea to provide greater training value in real-time conditions and core competency areas like practice missile firings, surface shoots, anti-air tracking, underway replenishments, and interception exercises, amongst others. This Killer Squadron, ladies and gentlemen, is the lethal force of the Indian Navy, ever ready to draw first blood.